Hello, beautiful ones, and welcome back to my channel. This week, I am going to be sharing 7 ideas to help you to remain feminine or cultivate your femininity in a masculine environment. But first, if you are new here, my name is Leisha, and I have been documenting my personal level up journey here on YouTube since 2020. I have been sharing my transformation from broke beach bum into feminine, elegant, and affluent woman. I really enjoy sharing conversations like this along the way with you and what I have learned from my personal experience working on these areas of leveling up, and I would love to have you join me. I typically upload once a week on Sundays, so please subscribe. Like I mentioned in today's video, I am sharing 7 ideas to help you to bring more femininity into a masculine environment. Personally, I grew up with 3 brothers, and so I naturally found myself, I think, gravitating towards more masculine activities. I had this stage where I was wanting to kind of just run with the boys. I found myself being able to get along better with guys as I grew up, and even though I had learned some traditionally feminine hobbies and skills like sewing and cooking to a certain degree, I enjoyed, dressing up and all of that girly stuff. But as I grew older, I think in the society we live in today, it has become increasingly more difficult for women to remain feminine, and which is our natural state, it's our natural, being. And so I wanted to share some ideas that will help you if you find yourself in an environment that just feels so masculine and you really do want to cultivate more of your femininity. This will just help you to bring out that natural essence that already exists within you. So there's no magic tricks, there's no big secrets here, but perhaps let's discuss and see what you think. So the first idea that I wanted to share with you is something that I have been incorporating more and more, and I especially tried to incorporate this when I was working in a corporate environment in a tech company, and that is to just simply dress femininely. You can try to wear dresses more, wear skirts more, versus at my company it was often fine to just wear your sweatpants some days or a hoodie and sit down at the cubicle and work all day. And that was kind of fine and accepted. And we live in a beach town, so you could even wear your flip-flops in most of the time, depending on your meetings and such. But I find that as I wear more dresses and wear more feminine touches, like just simply putting on a pretty piece of jewelry with my work attire, or simply around the house on the weekends, dressing up a little bit more and putting together an outfit that really helps me to feel more like a woman. There are other things too, such as, of course, grooming routines and beauty routines, the accessories, the colors that you wear. And there are just, I think, so many ways when it comes to dressing and your outward expression that you can exude femininity. Now, I want to speak to some of my ladies who work in perhaps environments that you must wear a uniform, or you are kind of around the house doing tasks that may be kind of messy and dirty. I do those too. I love to be outdoors. In fact, I have a video about can you be outdoorsy and feminine. That's from my early stages of the channel, but I can definitely relate. And so, if you find yourself in that situation, maybe you can wear some more feminine colors in your uniform. For example, if you wear scrubs, or you could try to see what you can do with your hairstyle or even your makeup, depending on the uniform and the regulations. I know that there are just going to be some of us that practicality is what practicality is, and I think that is perfectly fine. But are there some other ways you could incorporate dress when you're at home or when you are going out and have, your femininity just sort of brought to light that way outside of a work environment, right? But try to think about that as much as you can, and don't forget about what you wear underneath. You can also bring some femininity into that without it infringing on any strict rulings that you have with your garments for work and your uniform and overall appearance. So just wanted to share those suggestions with you. Maybe that gets you thinking about it. Now, the second idea I wanted to share with you is to simply allow others to help you when appropriate. I know that this, for me at least, can sometimes seem like I don't want to come off as weak or incapable of things, but that's why I add the statement where appropriate. If someone is seeing you approach and simply wants to hold the door open for you, allow them to hold the door open for you. If there is something high up on a shelf that you can't reach, allow someone who is taller or stronger to reach that on the shelf for you. I know good and well that I can do things for myself, but it is simply, allowing the action of allowing yourself to be cared for that I think helps you to cultivate femininity in a more masculine environment. And I see a lot of women from my career days especially that sort of refuse that and take on the energy of, I don't need a man to do that for me, or I don't need someone else to do that for me. Another thing that I also noticed is that there are some women, and I'm guilty of this myself, who are just kind of, I think, afraid to allow a man to specifically help them with something versus they may go to other women for help, depending on what it is. Now, some discretion is involved, of course, depending on what the task or project is that you're asking for help with in that environment, but I know that in general, it can just be hard for us to ask for help, especially when you're in a masculine feeling environment, and we can more easily take on that energy of, I'll just do this myself. Number 3 is something that is so challenging for me, and I've gotten a lot better at it over the years of my adult life, but especially in my 20s, I tended to act like one of the boys in order to feel like I was accepted or capable, more worthy, or just to feel seen. And you can probably tell what I'm talking about, especially if you're younger. I think that this is very prevalent, where there are a lot of women and girls who I think try to show that they have the most knowledge about sports or seem like they're interested in very masculine activities when they actually are not. Now, I'm not talking about those of us who are genuinely interested in things like, I guess I'll use, fishing, or let's just say for me, I enjoy hiking. I'm not talking about those of us who are genuinely interested in those areas and have a lot of knowledge. I'm talking about those of us who act like we have the knowledge on the areas just to feel like we're proving our intelligence, or we're proving that we can be accepted by, especially typically like a group that is primarily male dominated. So remember, masculine environments. And I think that this is something that should just kind of be avoided, the acting like you're one of the boys just to feel seen. I grew up with 3 brothers, and so I sort of just naturally kind of gravitated to this side of things, and it's something I really had to work on once I realized, okay, I'm a little off balance here, and I want to cultivate more femininity. And so I realized that when I began to just take a step back and really, not jump too far into conversation. I would ask more questions if I'm in a conversation with someone who is speaking to me about these topics, but I could take a step back and just admit, hey, I don't know anything about that. Tell me some more. And you'll find that as a woman, when you are operating out of your femininity, you are actually more seen. It's I think, a more rare quality that women allow to be seen in these masculine environments these days. And so it is something you can think about and give a try. The 4th thing that I wanted to mention that just typically happens in a masculine environment is our speech and our behavior is influenced, I think, in a more loud, I don't want to say obnoxious because that might label masculine energy as obnoxious, but by nature, it's just that loud and high energy, hard or harsh speech, I think, just exudes masculinity. And so, of course, if we want to bring that down in that environment, it is helpful to be gracious in your speech, be articulate, of course, be confident in the way that you speak in these environments, especially as a leader, but that does not have to necessarily be done in the same way that, a man or someone with masculine energy would approach it. And so this is something I constantly have to work on. I'm still working on the way that I talk, and it It is going to feel difficult and challenging, I think, but there are, of course, some great resources out here on YouTube about speaking more femininely or just working on your vocabulary in such a way that helps you to speak articulately in a way that commands respect, but without being rude or harsh or overbearing on people. It is the worst thing when you walk into a meeting and you have to sit there and listen to someone raise their voice about an issue. And luckily, I worked in a really great company where that was a very, very rare case that anyone spoke like that to get accomplished what they were trying to accomplish. So that is something very important to think about for sure. The fifth idea that I had to share with you is something I have been really, really enjoying, especially since becoming a mother, and that is using your feminine gifts or hobbies to contribute to your cause or your goals and nurture that masculine environment. Are there other people in that environment that you could bring some nurturing to? I know I've seen ladies in the work environment bring in meals to share with the team, or they're the ones that will come in and organize events for the team or for their the ones they're managing. And that is a wonderful way to bring in your feminine qualities and your feminine strengths to a masculine environment like the workplace. I think that oftentimes we may shy away from that. We may think that it's going to be too much to handle, but I challenge you to attempt it and to give it a shot. Just organizing some things, even if it's something after hours, you invite some ladies out to go and grab dinner or grab lunch, if that's kind of your thing. That can be a wonderful way to just nurture and bring in your hobbies. Another thing that I saw in the workplace was there were several people who enjoyed gardening and plants, and they would bring plants to work to decorate their cubicle and to care for while they were at work. And often they would clip cuttings and share those with others at work. And it was just, it's such a neat thing, I think, that you might overlook as being a way to exude feminine energy, but gardening is a very feminine hobby and activity. And besides that, I think any way that you can beautify your space and your masculine environment with a feminine touch, like flowers or again color or other elements that make you feel more feminine. Scent is one. I used to have my oil diffuser with me wherever I go. I try to bring it, and those scents that you smell can help you to feel more feminine in a masculine environment too. So always be careful and be aware of any sensitivities that you might have or your coworkers might have to scents. If you are going to do that, it's always wise to ask if you are going to be affecting other people, but in general, that is an option that you could try. Now, the sixth idea that I wanted to share with you is to utilize creativity in your endeavors. We often feel like we have, I think, low creativity, especially when we feel restricted in these masculine environments. It's not going to cultivate your femininity. So you really have to make an effort here, and you have to drop the belief that you're simply not creative. As women, we are the ones who essentially bring forth life, and therefore we have creativity in our beings by nature. It's just a matter of exercising that and working to cultivate it. And you don't have to view yourself as artsy. I think also comparison is something that kills creativity. When we are comparing ourselves to others that we deem as more creative, when we simply are worried what other people might think if we bring creativity to a problem that we're trying to solve, it's something that may not be outwardly noticed as feminine, but creativity is very feminine. And if you are in a role or in a job or doing tasks around your home that feel just very masculine, I think perhaps you could consider some ways to add a creative touch to how you are doing those things, and it will make you feel just so, outside of being accomplished. I feel very accomplished when I come up with a creative solution for something, but it will just naturally lift you up more. So think about that a little bit. How can you be creative and add creativity into that environment? Finally, I want to leave you with this: exercise patience in these situations that you come across. It is, again, as I sort of alluded to in the beginning of this video, it is just a fact that we live in a masculine society. If you are out there working and building your career right now, even if you are in school, there is a structure to the day that is built off of a masculine energy. That we have a monthly cycle, for example, and so that is often not really taken into account as we're going about our goals, but it's something that I try to pay more attention to. A really wonderful book on this topic is called Woman Code by Leisha, I think is how you say her last name. I've recommended it before in one of my book review videos, but it will just, I think, open up your eyes if you have not read it, if you have not looked into this information about how, as women, we can naturally work with our cycles to live in the flow of our lives. Especially if you are in a masculine environment, you may find this helpful to just think about and be aware of. So I say exercise patience. A lot of women can easily lose their temper, and it's easy to get frustrated. I am one of the world's worst. I will say that I do get very frustrated, I think, at times when I just see I don't feel good about my natural being, right? And so just be patient, exercise that. In a situation where it's tough and you've got to find a solution, take out some of your tools, journal on things, take some time to sit down and brainstorm some ways that you can improve how you feel in a masculine environment, but also brainstorm, perhaps is a change required of me? Should I move to perhaps a different role at work? Should I go into a different field of study right now that will allow me to cultivate more feminine gifts? For me, in my personal journey, once I became a mother, I had to, essentially live out what I'm talking about, I had to be about it. And I decided to spend more of my time at home so that I could be the primary caregiver for my daughter. And that's just what it looked like for me. And I'm very thankful that I was in a place financially where we could continue our goals and I would be able to do that. But that is always an option. I think there is a multitude of ways that you can make this work for you if you want to make a change into a role or an environment that would help you to cultivate more femininity. It will require patience though, trust me on that one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that these 7 ideas on how to bring more femininity into a masculine environment help you as you go about your level up journey. I would love to see you in one of my videos here on the screen if you have not watched one of those already. And I'm wishing you a wonderful rest of the season and the year. Thank you so much. Bye.